Cole, you're not coming out here, dude. I'm not opening up that back door all the time. How is everybody doing today? Looks like another CG was already in line. How you doing, man? Move my phone over so it doesn't fall off of there. How's life been treating everyone? Hasn't 2026 started off with a bang? And what are we going to talk about today? Hey, how's it going? What is it? Lorad? I'm sorry, man. I can't pronounce it. I tried. You're welcome, Daryl. Okay. Yeah, it's all okay. I gotcha. Nice one. Welcome to the chat. We're here to talk about projects, this, that, and the other. My little fan that we got going on here. Yeah, play that a little bit louder out there, assholes. Don't you love it? Like, I mean, I got nothing against music, but shit, at least change the beat up a little bit. So how was everyone's New Year's? Was it good? Was it bad? Did you make any resolutions? Did you make resolutions right before and then just completely dump them right after? Just wanted to see how everyone's doing. So today we're gonna kind of talk about some of the projects that I've been doing, and the last video that I put out, which was the strategic beef strike on this 340 millimeter fan. And I just repaired this fan. Actually, it was the 22 blade fan that I used, but this is the 11 blade version. And I just repaired it and put another blade in it because I had one that cracked. But not because of that test. That was a different fan completely. I've got my new shaft printed, giggity. And then bearings are set. Call it a set. Casing sitting over on the table. We're going to do another strike, but we're going to do another strike on an 11 blade version of this fan because that was fun. You're putting your car back together, your engine back together? What engine? What engine is it? Better be a damn Hemi. Hey, I hear you, Daryl. You're working. Just enjoy the content. I will try to keep thee entertained while you are slaving away. So CG, what car is it? Oh man, I'm telling you. So yeah, New Year's started off pretty good. First off, I don't know if I'm the only one, but that ball drop did not happen like it was supposed to. Yeah, they screwed up. They New Yorked the ball drop. In other words, they screwed it over. And I'm sorry. That was not a good start for the year. Just not a good start. Yeah. Welcome to the chat, Adam. Yeah, it was not a good start. And then everyone's all mad because we went after Maduro and everything like that. And it's like, oh, he needed congressional. You know what? Anything Trump does, y'all gonna hate anyway. So, fuck it. I hope he just goes full send on everybody. Congressional approval. You don't need congressional approval to extradite a criminal that's run from the country to another country, and if someone's committed international crimes and has been indicted, then you can go and get that person. That's the law, and you don't need congressional approval to do it. So I know AOC is going to be upset, but maybe she can go make herself an awful martini like she used to and shut her mouth. Looks like Omar is getting called out too. I think America just went. We were trying to be inclusive, trying to be fair, and then everything went to crap. It's like all of a sudden it's just, you know, guys in women's bathrooms and everything else, and transgenders and doing like story time in a 5-year-old classroom. I mean, it's like everything went nuts, and now finally we're just basically like, screw it, man. We're just not dealing with it anymore. We're not. We will take. It's going to be the United Planet of America by the time it's over with. I promise you. Iran's next. We're crippling China and Russia by taking the oil from Venezuela and all the natural resources. I mean, it's beautiful. Yeah, it is crazy. It's definitely crazy. But like I said, it's going to be everyone sort of goes into 2026 and goes, this is going to be a new year, you know, and everything's going to get a lot better. And I'm like, you know what? Stop it with that noise. Just go into 2026 very quietly and don't touch anything. And then everything might be cool. But as far as the state goes, it's like, as far as the state of the union, what we're doing right now, what Trump's doing to actually, you know, get rid of narco terrorists, and everyone's like defending Maduro. It's like, we want to get decapitated in the middle of the street too. You idiots, go back to your house, man. Go back to your barista job and make horrible coffee for us. Venezuela is much happier right now, I guarantee it. So yeah, that's if you didn't know, this chat right here, we're going to discuss the projects that I've been working on, but I also like to kind of just chit chat with you guys, get to know you, and talk about stuff that's going on in the world, and you know, other countries that are like the UK, Britain, and everything, where you can't even say anything on Facebook without going to jail. You have to have your digital ID over there. Screw that noise. No one's gonna make me take anything. Yeah. Defeat or what? Orshnik? Defeat Orshnik. Yeah, we'll be going after the rest of them. Don't worry. Like I said, it's going to be the United Planet of America now. It's going to all be ours. But don't worry, there'll always be another world out there beyond the friggin' ice wall for all the flat earthers who think that this is, you know, an enclosed system, that there's more other worlds out there, or there's a hole at the top of the earth where you can go down into the center and there's a whole new world. And it's like, yeah, go ahead. Here's a shovel, dig, go home. The world's gotten straight up crazy, man. The amount of stuff, like the stuff that people believe is what gets me. I don't understand it. And you look at it from a logical perspective and you go, why are people protesting certain things? Why are they protesting this? Like, for example, everyone hates ICE, but we already know what happened in Minnesota or Minneapolis or wherever the hell it was. In any situation, if somebody tries to run me over with a car, I'm going to respond in the same manner. So I don't care why the person was there. She was in a different state. She was organizing a protest against, using a vehicle to intervene with federal law enforcement. And yeah, you're going to get fucked up. That's all there is to it. So, no tears shed here. How you all doing? Wide I don't know how to say your name. I assume it's an acronym for something. Yidsn sounds very Russian. Очень приятно. Actually, the name, I don't know what it stands for, but now I'm not trying to insult you, but it does sound like a Russian guy stubbed his toe. You know, say, what this? I'm just saying. Cool name though. So, you guys will notice I won't have a lot of concurrent viewers here watching all the time because not a lot of people like an old white guy talking on the internet about politics or whatever else. I'm supposed to be the guy that's privileged, right? On VA benefits. Barely making it work. But I'm here. I ain't complaining about it. You know, who cares? Everyone's gonna get all pissed off at me because of who and what I am, because I'm conservative, because I'm Christian. Everybody will leave, and I don't care. I don't care. I'm here to like entertain the people who are actually, want to actually be entertained, chat, hang out, talk about things, and then of course, talk about the projects. If you guys saw it, like the latest video of the 340 millimeter fan beef strike, a fully 3D printed EDF motor. You've seen more than likely the Shrike Sarop drone playlist. So you can see why I'm trying to do destructive testing on a test fan before I spit up all 4 engines at like 12,000 RPMs. And I got the drone behind me I'm waiting for the motors for. That's a 70 millimeter EDF. And then I have a 170 millimeter EDF electric engine that's spun up by a 4-to-1 gear ratio. I did some videos on that too, which the printed gears don't last. I'm waiting for Makura to kind of jump in and here's a machine, cut your gears, and then we can say that our machine did those gears, and then I'm gonna make a really big F-14 Tomcat out of that, 2 of those. So. But yeah, that 170 millimeter EDF is fun, and it'll get it too. And I had one guy come over and he made a comment on the video. He goes, "Yeah, CNC basically. I need a CNC, a benchtop CNC, so that I can basically afford it." That, and I don't have 3-phase power in this shop, so I need a sort of a I could do 220, if I had to, but I just need a benchtop CNC, just so something with a 4th axis, like the Makura Air or the Makura Carvera Air or whatever it's called. And it has the 4th axis, which is great for those small planetaries that I'm going to be making, and I would love to be able to use that. It's just they want so much money for this stuff. It's like they call it entry-level beginner stuff for the hobbyists, but it costs more than a friggin' Kia. So I don't understand where the logic comes from on that one. So yeah, there's that. Pocket NC from Penta. I think it's Penta Machine did the Pocket NC. That's a really good option for this, especially for this blade geometry. But again, they're the same thing. They emailed me and they're like, "Yeah, we don't have the resources." I'm like, sure. No, what it is, you have the resources. I just don't have the subscribers to make it worth your while. And that's the way it usually works. I tried laser. I did try laser, but the offsets were too much. These are, because the gears are precision, we're dealing with millimeter clear, like sub-millimeter clearances for these teeth. They had like I think it was a plus or minus 0.3. I don't know. I tried it with Oh, what do you call that one? JL something PCB. You know, the one where you send I forget the name of it. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Send it off, had it printed. It cost me $150. They sent it back, and then the gears won't match up. I'm like, you guys have engineers there, right? So you would be able to look at it and go, oh, that's not going to work for the customer. Maybe we shouldn't send it out. Maybe we should try it a different way. I mean, come on, you know. But that's the way they do it, you know. It's that JL PCB, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. The site I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say they don't do good work. I'm just saying, like, for mine, they just didn't look at it and they go, oh, well, we know what this is for, so let's find out if it's gonna fit before we print it and send it to the customer and charge it. But they didn't care about that. They just wanted my money. They're in China, you know. So this is one of the reasons why I want to get a desktop CNC. I've got an MP CNC back here that we built, but I don't have the 4th axis on it. I don't know, because of how big I made the machine. I don't know how. There's gonna be chatter. There's gonna be some backlash, depending on what I'm cutting and how. I have a 4th axis for this. You just bolt it to the table and then put your stock in. But the point is, I'd rather have a much smaller machine that's sort of purpose built for that. That was just something I built. Well, injection mold could work. I agree. Hold on, let me get this notification out of the way. Injection molding could work, except for the fact that we're dealing with 20,000 RPMs on a 4-to-1 gear ratio, where the sun gear is going to take them. What happens is the sun gear takes the brunt of the damage. If it survives because I use a harder material, then the planetaries go. And if the planetaries are harder, then the ring gear goes. So it sort of perpetually, like, I survived, and then destroys the rest of the stuff around it. So realistically, the 170 looks like this, except it's a 22 blade and it's 170 instead of 340 mil. And I basically I'm looking to CNC that blade. Now I could probably 3D print that blade. That would be easier to 3D print. And the tolerances, as long as we tap the holes afterwards for the screws for the main shaft, then that could work. But the main shaft would have to be turned. It would have to be CNC. You'd have to make sure it was done right so it's accurate, because it goes in a 6204 bearing, and you want to make sure that it's accurate. But the fan I can see being printed. You know, that might work. Extruded titanium for the gears. Yeah, I mean, that could work. I don't have the teeth profiles. They're not, binding profiles. They're not symmetrically angled, like some of the worm gears you see. They're basically just straight teeth. And then there's a shaft that goes from the sun gear to the fan through the box. And then you can close the box. And then I've got aluminum fins that will come off the box, and then you'll fill the box with oil. And that'll keep the planetaries lubricated and the air getting pulled past that, because the engine's front mounted, but far enough out to where the intake ducts for whatever jet it goes into are clear. The box itself can be cooled by that incoming air, and that'll cool the oil on the inside of the planetary gears, and it'll keep the heat at a minimum. Or we cycle a cooler in there. We just tap 2 holes on each side, run some small pipes, some angled, brass fittings, and put a pump on there, and then put an air cooler below the intakes, or just behind the box where the fan where the intakes can pull air in past it and into the fan, and then cool the oil that way. So the way I've designed it is to be modular, so we can pretty much use all these ideas. But realistically, it's going to come down to when and if I can get a specific machine. Is it going to be the Penta Pocket NC? Is it going to be the Makira Carvera series? Which one of those are going to prove themselves for this design? We've got the Planetaries. I'm going to be using it for the 340 millimeter as well. All of these blades are friction fit inside the hub. This is all 3D printed out of PETG. I've got my bearing stack on there. I've got the collet that engages the motor, and of course the casing. Like I said, if you watch any of the Shrike Sarop drone playlist, you're going to see several variations of this. You're going to see the big drone that I've been doing. It's like 5 feet by 5 feet. And there's 4 of these massive engines on it. Running at 18S, so 75 volts. So yeah, realistically, the idea is my next steps are get a machine that I can CNC those gears with, that I can do this blade geometry with. But what kind of desktop sort of garage style shop, type of CNC am I going to be able to get that isn't going to cost, the price of a kidney, and be what I need it to be. That's really what I'm looking for. So, I did try this is the first time I've done an ASA main shaft. I did do an ASA motor mount on the last one when I ran the 220 or the 22 blade one. When I did the beef strike video. You got to see that beef strike video. That was funny. What ended up happening on that one was I wasn't filming. I was just hooking up a 75 volt system, and I went to torque it up, and I snapped the motor mount. so I'm going to do a motor mount in ASA, and I'm going to add some angular, reinforcement on it. I may even epoxy the layers afterwards, do an epoxy coat. Kind of like what I'm doing with the 90 millimeter EDF back there. All that gets epoxy coated. That's a flying wing back there. Behind that is another 90 millimeter, but that's more of a experimental aircraft. The 90's coming along good. I'm just working on the hinged ailerons now, and then I'll get those printed up, and then I'll get everything, epoxy coated and ready to go on the 90. That was funny. That 90 millimeter takeoff was funny. Just attempting to fly with that thing was hilarious. Again, it's in the videos. It was funny because I went out without a rudder because I knew I wasn't gonna. I was just bored and I wanted to get out there. I didn't have any filament that had come in yet. I was like, I'm just gonna go try this out and see what happens. So I had no rudder. And I had this little Mario Kart style cart that I had the actual, because it was supposed to be a hand launch vehicle originally, but I didn't trust myself to hand launch it, so I made a cart that it could leave behind when it took off, and it left the cart behind after it accidentally hit the pitcher's mound on the field, and then it shot the plane up, and it just didn't get enough speed for liftoff. I didn't, or it would have. It didn't get enough speed to create lift like you would expect off of a runway and things like that, because it sort of just slammed right into that, took off, hit, tilted, went in, the wing hit first, and then the motor mount area was the weak point, I guess, and it just blew the thing apart. But the wings survived. They were digging holes. It was funny. Every time it would spin around. Which video are you talking about? on the wing. You talking about the wing? It's just it's one of my more recent ones. If you go to the videos section on my channel page, you'll see it. You're gonna see the 90 millimeter. It's there. I don't do a lot of long run videos too often unless I'm out ready to fly something, or if I'm building something specifically. A lot of the stuff is shorts updates on projects that I'm doing, and then eventually you'll get a video when I get finished. But most of my projects obviously aren't small, so they take time. Yeah, you'll see it though. It's pretty funny what happened on that one. But hey, how's it going, Don Bidwell? Welcome to the chat, my friend. We are going. I'm glad you're here. You saw the beef strike, I know. But we got an 11 blade we're going to be doing. It was an older fan that I had, and I had to do another blade to repair one that was cracked from before during my testing phase. But we are going to do another strike with this one, and it's going to be at 75 volts, not 48. That last one was only 48 volts, and it's a 75 volt motor. So we're going to do that again on the test fan stand. And we're going to do it at 75 volts, which is terrifying because it's like 12,000 RPM, 12 or 13,000 RPMs. And it's huge because it's like 340 mil, right? And it's heavy. This is heavy. I could make it lighter, but again, I don't have a CNC and 70-75. I don't know if it'd be lighter or not, to be honest with you. I mean, it takes 8 millimeter bolts just to hold the shaft down to the fan hub. So, and everything's friction fit with no glue. So these blades are all tapped in, which is how I was able to repair this one. I wanted to make it modular that way, so that if you break one, like if I make this available to people, the STLs for all this, and they happen to have 28 kilograms of filament lying around if they want to print a large drone with. Because that's what it took to build the body and the fans, was 28 kilograms of PETG. Yeah, it can. The door can stop it. The door can. I don't. If I'm going to hit this with anything at that speed, I never am in the room. Basically, I've got a camera that I can see what's going on. I've got 2 radios so that I can talk to the cameras and let everybody know, okay, I'm starting the test on this run, that run, the other run, and keep myself safe, because I had a 170 millimeter fan, same style, that did blow up on me, like in my hands. Like, I held it down because I didn't have anything to brace it to, and my test stand was already had an engine on it. So I spun it up with a different ESC that changed the timing. So I went from like 15 to 11.5, and it really opened up more torque in that 650 kV motor. And man, that thing spun up, and I was like, wow, this sounds really good. And then the PLA, it wasn't PETG, it was PLA, and it just, boom, the fan just detonated. It's right here, actually. I was holding that when it went off. So this had an exterior casing that I had for it, and I had a rear turbine. I got rid of the combustion chamber, and I did a rear. I let the rear turbine stay in here because it does alleviate some torque from the electric drive, the air that's passing over the low pressure turbine. So yeah, I had everything working on this just perfectly. A tank going by. But anyway, this is the one that blew. I was holding it, and it just detonated. It was cool though. I kind of stopped afterward. I kind of waited to see if I was bleeding anywhere, and I wasn't. And it basically detonated and then thrown all the blades through the back end, some out the front. But the casing, the interior casing and the exterior casing sort of deflected everything. So it made it fairly safe. But again, no more PLA on these things. Just PETG. So yeah, it's a fun, it's a fun project to be able to make something this big. The drone that, and I'll show it to you if you haven't seen it. If you do really want to go check it out, it's in the SAR. Like I said, it's in the SAROP, Shrike SAROP playlist. The drone's huge. It's 5 feet by 5 feet. Has 4 340 millimeter 11 blade high pass EDFs, running on 75 volt motors, 18 ESCs from Mad Components. Those are the 120 amp AMPX because the motors are 120s, or the motors are 100 amp peak. And I'm getting roughly 12,000 RPMs out of them at 75 volts. But that's all dependent on the disk loading as well too. So real world RPMs are going to be less than theoretical RPMs or bench test RPMs or just mathematically based RPM calculations, just because of the actual real world disk loading on the blades. Picks up a roll of PPSCS. Give me a file. What the heck is PPSCS? They got all these like names for it now. I use carbon fiber reinforced nylon for the last planetaries, and they work. So okay, PPSCF. Yeah, I'll send you a blade, and I'll send you the planetary gears for sure. So because that's my I want to get the 170 up and running, but I mean realistically, I think it's gonna require metal. But good morning, Sahil. TN1. I don't know what your name is, but good morning. Afternoon for me, really, but. Good morning to you. Yeah, I'm gonna butcher your names. That's just all there is to it. If you've got like a weird name typed out and it's supposed to be like I'm supposed to somehow get it how it's supposed to sound phonetically, and I don't, you can laugh at me. It's cool. But I'm gonna butcher your name like bad. And it's not on purpose, and it's not out of any kind of disrespect. It's just I'm gonna butcher your name. So yeah, this one, this is the next drone we're gonna be flying. As soon as the motors come in, this is a 70 millimeter EDF, and you can see the one I flew of this one on the Shrike Concept Drone playlist on my channel page. This one is fun. This is the next version I made of it because I really liked the first one, and I did some changes on the power supply with the capacitors. I went with some YXF instead of standard PX, and then I went with a Speedy F405 Mini, a Wing Mini, and basically we were running 80 amp iFlight D-Shot ESCs and 70 millimeter. I think they're called Dobofo or something like that on Amazon, but they're cheap EDFs for under 200 bucks. You can get like it's like 180 bucks. You get like all four, and it's 2 clockwise, 2 counterclockwise, and then then we go from there. That's the fun part of this whole thing, is getting those engines, putting them in, and you want it. Yeah, if you check out the Shrike Maiden, Shrike, and then I did hash cut so you can kind of see how it flies on it, because it's running off of a 6,000 milliamp 100C graphene lipo, so it's like a lot of weight. Okay, motors, yes. Won't make me get a dictionary. I mean, I'll tell you right now. A motor is something that turns mechanical energy into momentum. So even if I call it an engine, it's still okay. Anyway, yeah, hydrogen. That'd be fun. Hydrogen would be fun. I can tell you that. Well, there's two ways I'm going to use hydrogen in a larger drone, and that one is an alloyed version is going to have an afterburner system on each engine, just so that when you're into thin atmospherics, you can still propel. And then with adjustable apertures, then you get the same effect as you would as an RPM-driven stabilization at higher atmospheric pressures. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm also going to use it on the electrical side, hydrogen, to actually drive the motors. So it's sort of a hydrogen electric hybrid, which I know they already have some of the bigger ones, but those are what? Those are sized up for like big commercial airliners and stuff like that. Nothing for the hobbyist market, right? I designed this right here so you could take, 470 millimeter EDFs you can grab off of Amazon and build a drone. And everyone's like, well, that's not practical. I'm like, I didn't design it to be practical. If I designed it to be practical, I wouldn't use EDFs. I designed it to be fun. That's the whole point about this hobby, right? Make something new. Make something fun. That's the whole point. But I saw somebody do, somebody actually, I'm not going to say they copied me. I'm going to say they did their own EDF drone. But the problem they were having, I was seeing, like, they'd fly it and I'd see their capacitor burst. I was like, I went through that when I was testing in the very beginning before I got anything in the air. And you can't power this with a standard, like 30 by 30 millimeter stack. You just can't. The capacitor will burn. The amp demand from EDFs is astronomical. Now, he was using 4S, which makes it even worse, because that's a higher amp rating you're calling for, and that's why your cap bursts. I bypassed the stack system altogether. I went with the wing because this is a core unit that I'm going to end up using in a larger aircraft. So I'll be able to take this, drop into a bigger aircraft, and then, yeah, Shrike Maiden is what you're looking for. And it should come up. Two of them should come up. One will be without music, and one will be with intro music and stuff like that. But yeah, what is EDF? It's electric ducted fan. So that's basically the difference. Instead of having an open prop drone, you've got a ducted fan engine, and they're typically used in jets, like RC jets, and they have a lot more power. But the demand on the amps is the problem. People try to use standard drone stacks to power them, and they end up busting the caps on them, and because the capacitors can't take the amp draw. You're welcome. But on this, what I did is I bypassed, and you're like, how are you doing this with the F405 Mini wing? And why are you using a wing? Well, there's a few reasons why I'm using the wing. It's because it's a modular system that drops into a larger aircraft, which uses differential thrust to go from a tail sitter VTOL mode to a forward flight mode, and that's called the Javelin. That's one I was testing early on, and decided to go ahead and incorporate this core. You could fly it as a drone, and then you could pop it into that shell and plug up the elevons and stuff like that and the rudders, and just with your plug right into this, I'm going to set that up to where it's just a plug and play kind of thing. and then you can fly the tail sitter, and then jet, and then back tail sitter. But I went with a 6S system, not a 4S. The 4S was the mistake that I saw the other person make. And when I saw his videos, he was flying around, it looked pretty good, and then pop. I think he eventually went to 6S, but here's the thing: you can't draw that many amps directly from the stack. So what I did is I used an APD 500X power distribution board I got from APD when they were selling it to the drone enthusiast market. They stopped, and I went ahead and got an LLC so I could purchase the stacks. So I'm probably gonna have to order like 100 to get them at a discounted rate, or to get them at all. But the 500X is perfect for the power distribution for all the motors, and it can handle it. It can handle the draw and give you with overhead, because you're going to have 340 total amps while this is running. You know, if you're wide open throttle, and you know, I've got my 2.4 gigahertz ELRS from Radio Master, the receiver sitting on the top here, and I haven't glued this down yet because I was showing everybody. My lighting system isn't running off of this board. It's running off of the Arduino that I have on the back, that's powered by the power distribution board as well. And I've got 2 rails of addressable LEDs that I put in there, and I can run any program I want. So I've got like the green in the front, and I've got the red in the back, and then I've got the blue with the sliding white, which kind of lets me know which direction the drone's pointing at night, which is rather helpful. Yeah, UFO. No, that's not the UFO though, Kim. The drone I built for these fans, that's the UFO. And you can see those, like I said, you can see those on my Shrike Sarop playlist. Because originally I was designing the drone for a search and rescue operations as a prototype. And but my demonstration platform is made out of all clear PETG, 28 kilograms of PETG, and sort of like this, but 5 feet by 5 feet. And I'll show it to you guys before I end the stream. It's sitting over here off camera. But yeah, this is the idea, is that that will be a UFO sighting, because I have 1,440 LEDs in it. So it's people are gonna think it's UFO for sure. Especially with how big the thing is. It's massive. I can't even put that. I mean, it might fit in the bed of a truck. Maybe. It may not sit flat in the bed of the truck. It's just too. It's a big drone, and it's all 3D printed, including the blades. Just like this example here. This isn't just something for testing and showing. This is an actual functioning blade. And I have the main shaft with my bearing stacks that I put together, my collet for the motor and everything. This is an actual working motor. The idea was, really big EDFs are expensive, so I'm just gonna make my own. And I power it with an e-skateboard motor. You know, 75 volts, 12,000 RPM. Along with, what came up in your search? Did you see the video? Did you get a chance to look at it? I think part of it's on my trailer video when you go to my main page. But yeah, it's definitely this is a fun drone. I mean, I went through a lot of different designs until I got back to the quad style so I could kind of understand how EDFs worked with flight controllers. And then once I got past that point, now I can go back to my original design that I wanted to do, and it'll end up looking like a pod racer by the time I'm done. Yeah. Yeah, I know. This is something people have asked me that before. They're like, "Are you going to sell this drone?" And I don't know how to sell it. Like either sell it as a kit, like where you know what parts you have to get, and then you pick up your parts, and then you get the STL files, or if I just build the whole thing, and then make sure that they all work perfectly, and then send them out, ready to bind to your ELRS transmitter. I thought about that. Hey, Don Bidwell, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Work is a dirty 4-letter word. But yeah, you have a good day, man. But yeah, I haven't decided how I'm going to market this yet. I'm working on that. Because ideally, if you were to get something like this pre-built, has everything on it, and it's modular, then I could get the CNC. Ideally, I would build the whole thing, and then the STL files would go with it, so that if you were to have a hard landing and something were to pop off, like an engine nacelle or something like that, and it broke or whatever, you could just reprint it and then pop it back on, pop the engine in, pop it back on, and because everything sort of just snap fits together. When you put the engines in, they snap in, and then they don't come out unless you break it or hit something. You can knock it out through the bottom. Excuse me. You can tap the engine out through the bottom, but it's made to be snap fit. It's like the first snap fit EDF drone that ever existed. I'm glad you like it. This was one of the first attempts. It's kind of how I started the channel, really. And it was really hard to get noticed, as you can see with the current viewers. It was really hard to get noticed because who types in EDF drone or massive 3D printed, fully 3D printed EDF? It's not something people search for regularly. Unfortunately, we're caught between the intellectual design part of sort of niche content and the really quick, satisfying cringe factor that you get from YouTube. So it's like, I always like to say, if it doesn't have a pair of tits, no one's gonna click on it. So maybe that'll be what I put on the front of the drone next. Why would somebody buy it? Novelty, fun. I mean, it's a fun drone to fly. Its sister drone flew very well, and it was a blast. And I took it out a couple times, and then I used it for experimental platform. I actually, added airfoils and stuff like that, and did different things with it. Yeah, it's heavy. It's not slow, I'll tell you that. Defeats the fun purpose. It's not built for payloads. Yeah, it is built for payloads. It can actually lift 4 pounds more than it is. And it came in, the original one came in at about 6 pounds with the brick that's flying it. 6,000 milliamp battery. And, it's based, I am geared towards a different market. That's what the other drone is for. That's why I designed that fan, because that drone, I mean, I know you're thinking Gen XPV, I know you're thinking, why would anyone do it? if you saw this with 470 millimeters flying around the field, I mean, go look at the video on my homepage. That's clips of me flying that thing around when I was testing it originally. You know, watch the trailer. Those fans have, yeah, I mean, you built the 13-inch drone. That's cool. 14S, too many amps for me. I like 6S or more. I'm working on a drone. Jarek, and welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live. All right, look, I want to show you what's going on. Get FPV, hold on. I mean, not get FPV. What are you? Gen X FPV. I gotta get that right. So, hold on, I'm gonna plug my power here. So we've seen this one, right? And that fan. Over here is the test stand. It looks a little bit of a mess because I got everything turned over and ready. This is the drone. Hold on. I gotta go around this side. I had to move it over here because I was running out of room. So this is the drone it's running off of. The 7070 Flipski Motors 18S ESC. Fully 3D printed, the entire thing. And it's got some, the whole thing has LEDs inside of it. So you've got your interior fan casing here. And then you have the exterior fan casing. This is called the Shrike Ultra. And yeah, this one runs. This one has 1,440 LEDs in it. So lots of LEDs. These nacelles light up. There's 2 strips, internal, external. And I'm still waiting on getting more motors and ESCs because these aren't cheap. But these are the mag components, 120 amp AMPX. So this is the 170 I was telling you about. And then you've got the 90 millimeter EDF wing I'm doing here. Doing some special hinged ailerons for that. That's another plane I'm working on. But yeah, I'm just sort of having fun, you know, doing my thing. A lot of people ask me, is it practical? Is it fast? I mean, who cares? It's fun. You guys remember fun, don't you? I don't live in area if you want to know. That'd be cool though. Tiny Whoop. It is a crash course in the LRS. It is. Honestly, I need to get a Tiny Whoop. I don't even have one. I need to get one just to kind of get used to 3D flying. I've been hooking up I have the TX16S from Radio Master. I hook it up to my computer, and I run one of the simulators to try that out. But honestly, I don't know how accurate that is to acro flight in the real world. Yeah, realistically, it's about, for me, I'm afraid of acro flying. Just because I don't trust myself yet. So I use stabilized modes and stuff like that. And that kind of cuts the RPMs down for the purpose of stabilization. So when I was flying this originally, it would have had a lot more speed had I taken it out of stabilized mode or angle mode. But I didn't because I didn't want to like invert the drone. I'm learning. Acro is no joke. I mean, it's a completely different monster when you're flying. And the fact that I'm doing it with EDFs makes it 10 times harder. So yeah, that's really what I'm doing. So after stock marketing, you still have 0. You just have a lot more zeros. Uh, I don't do stock market. I don't play lotto either because it's like the odds are so great. So I found a different way to play lotto. I just built a rack of those little Bitcoin miners. That's like having a lottery ticket every second, and all you got to do is leave it there. And then if it accidentally hits something, it's pretty much the same odds as the lottery. So it's like having the lottery play itself for you on seven different miners for forever, as long as it's plugged up. Yeah, acros. If you can fly acro, props to you because I'll get there, but I don't have a standard prop drone at all. I just have this stuff. So if I had one to practice on, I mean honestly, what would you suggest I start with? I don't like really small ones because those are the ones that you make mistakes on and you can't recover from them. So I need sort of like a mid-size quad or something to start with. Something FPV, something that's not too expensive, something I can actually afford to get the goggles and everything with. I mean, Gen X FPV, that's your name, so you obviously know what you're talking about when it comes to that stuff. What do you suggest I get to start out? I do have a TX16S transmitter, like I said, so I'm already at 2.4, ELRS. So I just want to get started on practicing the acro flying, which will make for some probably funny video content because I'm going to go out to the field and I'm going to have a complete bag of just like extra parts. So I can just repair it there and then keep going. 7-inch. Let's see. Mm, 10 and up, props start getting expensive. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I know because when I'm entered the DARPA Lift Challenge, I designed a drone for it, and just the two props I have for my VTOL system are $400 for the pair because they're 40.1 by or 40.3 or something like that by 16. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, the DARPA Lift Challenge is gonna be fun. I had to science the shit out of that one. You can beat up a 5 to 7 pretty much. See, that's what I'll probably start with, but I want to try and get something that's not too expensive but still has, because the one thing I don't want is a low resolution. I need to be able to see through the goggles fairly well, so I don't know which ones to get. In order to go, I don't want to do DJI because they're just too damn expensive and they're banning stuff left and right. So, you know, we need FPV for the poor people like me. Walk snail. I've heard of walk snail before. I've heard that on Joshua Bardwell's channel. He's got good information on stuff, but I mean, if I was going to get into making my own, I know how to build a drone. I know how to program it using iNav and all that other stuff. That's not a big deal. I could probably build one myself. It's one of those situations where I don't like soldering. It's fun sometimes, and sometimes it irritates the crap out of you. So I just want to get one that's already put together and fly it, and be able to see through the goggles and everything set up, ready to go. And then, I'll figure out the rest. Yeah, he uses Betaflight a lot. I don't use Betaflight. I've been using iNav. I don't know how much better Betaflight is, but I know that iNav has worked well for me. I really couldn't tell you why I haven't used Betaflight, but I just use iNav. So some of the up and coming videos that I'm gonna have is gonna be, we're gonna be doing another spin up on this one. The first one, the 22 blade, it survived. So I have that. Let me show it to you. I can show you the difference. Let me grab it. It's the one that was on there before. So this is the one. Oh, this is the one we had in the strategic beef strike video. It survived. We may have to raffle this blade off. It survived all that. It was incredible. And it was fun. I mean, come on. If you watch that video, tell me that wasn't fun. But yeah, I made it. So I may end up framing this, you know, or something. This is PETG that survived that. You know, you're talking like 6,000 RPMs or more, and I'm dropping like kielbasa's into it and stuff. It was fun. And we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it with the 11 blade variant, which means less disc loading on the engine, which means higher RPMs without overheating the motor. So that's going to be fun. Set that fan down. And that video will be out soon. As soon as I shoot it. I have to shoot the video first. You'll join the raffle? Oh yeah, the fans on the big drone are gorgeous, especially when the LEDs are on. It's just beautiful, and I hope people go over there and check that out. I hope they see that in the Strikes Are Up drone playlist on my channel homepage. And apparently now people can do super chats and join up on my channel. They can become members, which would entitle them to STL files. Things like that. I have links for like the, what do you call it? The Buy Me a Coffee thing and Patreon and stuff like that. But no one ever really looks at me over there because, again, this kind of content, who's looking up 3D printed EDF drone? You know, it's like I've got to sit here and like make my own entire algorithm for YouTube just so I can, people notice the channel. I guess I'm doing okay. I got over 20,000 subs so far, so I'm grateful for that, for sure, for all the people who are interested in this kind of work. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's coming in the future. We've got another flight of the 90mm wing when that's finished. I extended the wingspan. You remember this is what's left of the other one. Hold on. Let me move my sword. Where's this thing stuck on? Hold on. This is stuck on something. There. Okay. This was the PETG version. It broke here at the body. But the wing just, because all I did was like, you know, like one wall thickness of PETG, and then like I did a light epoxy coat over everything. And these wings were digging holes in the ground when it would spin out. And then of course there was the crash. But I kept the pieces. It's all a learning experience. Ugh. I know this looks weird. This is another one we're doing. It's like a it's a tricopter EDF with a pusher. So this one's gonna be fun when I get to it. It's one of the original designs. Oh, you're talking about the Javelin. Yeah, well, I was redesigning the Javelin. But yeah, I can put together an STL pack for that. And it's pretty much done the way it is. I was going to redesign it for 90 mils because 70 was kind of pushing it. Unless you make it light, unless if you do it out of like a PLA Aero or something like that, and you make it nice and light, not thin wall, not like single wall light, but use the foaming PLA and do like 2 walls, 3 walls. Give it an infill. It's still going to be lighter than PLA. Then it would work just fine. You saw that I got it to take off and land easily. It had enough power. I was just worried about it overheating. So that would take a parts list. But yeah, if you're interested in the Javelin, yeah, become a member. And then I will figure out how to do that to give you the STL files. I don't know if that's something like you get a link, or if I can put it up here on the page or what, but or if you become a new member, if you become a member, I'm sure it notifies me, then I know who it is, and then I can get your email, and then I can send you the files as a perk for the Javelin. And then the parts list that I had for it. And then you can have fun with it. But yeah, that's how I wanted. It's kind of how I wanted to do it. Everyone's like, well, you got to do memberships. If you got to have content for people who are members, who actually want to invest in the channel and see stuff that other people know. I didn't understand it at first. I was like, why? I'm on YouTube. I want people to watch. I don't want to make videos where people can't see it unless they pay. I'd feel like an ass, doing something like that. It's like, you have to pay to watch this video. But then again, what the hell? Amazon Prime does it. And they still make you watch commercials. So, if you wish to join up and become a member, what you're doing is actually supporting me and continuing this project. Because again, not to use it as an excuse, but I only get vet benefits, so it's kind of expensive to do this kind of stuff. And everything I get goes back into what I'm doing here, whether it be for more filament, more engines, more parts, things like that. So, and it helps continue with the new projects. I have several crazy ideas. This was one of the first crazy ideas that flew. I'm really helping to get a lot of my crazy ideas to fly. Then eventually on the big drone, it'll be big enough to be a quad. It's something rideable. I'll do it. Screw the Volonaut bike. I mean, that's like having 6 kerosene turbines pointed directly at your crotch. It's just not something I'm like really ready for. But this one will be eventually like a rideable off-road quad. That's why I want to make it bigger and see the blades, that kind of stuff. I know everyone's like, that's a big dream. Well, I mean, Bill Gates started off in his garage, and we don't like him, but he still started off in his garage, and he's like a millionaire. So, Jeff Bezos, I think, did the same thing. Small office or garage or something. A lot of people started off in their garage who made stuff that you use today. that you couldn't live without. So I figured, hey, why not me? I got all kinds of crazy ideas.